February the 7th, 2022. Guys, you're looking at the national weather map of the U.S. and part of the southern provinces of Canada and part of New Mexico, a good bit of Mexico. And for once, it's pretty good news. Up in the very northeastern section, you got a few winter storm watches and things like that. You got moisture coming off the Gulf, but guys, there's just no extreme weather for the first time in months. That's a good sign. I want to talk about that. Also, I haven't done a video like this in a couple of days because we have a small farm here and we've had to put up about 300 foot of fencing in the last 3 days, working to sunset. And today at sunset, we had just about 99.9% of it done. A few loose ends I got to tie up. The fence is in, the gates are up, just a few small things. That's all part of prepping and protection, if you understand what I'm saying. We have a couple of new additions to our family, which are 2 8-week-old now Siberian Huskies, one a blonde, one a black. The blue-eye ones, you know what I'm talking about. And so we're fencing that in. They've got a kennel and things like that because they are part of protection. You know, Siberian Husky was bred with the Siberian wolves. Very smart, very intelligent, very good with family members, hard-headed. They won't take no for an answer. We have 2. One is Bandit, one is Booger, and they matched their names. They're 8 weeks old now. But fencing in an area for them that surrounds the studio and the house and protects them from getting out and getting run over in the highway. You know, it works out both ways. But there's 2. We now have Booger and Bandit, guys. The next video, I'll put up some pictures of them. They're very, very beautiful with their Siberian wolf blue eyes. And they get very large, and they're the #1 dog. They say that for kids, the most loyal, the most hard-headed. They're escape artists, but they're very good dogs, and you take up time with them, protect them. They're going to be part of one of the main preps, guys, that you can do. Whether it's German Shepherds, whatever kind of dog it is, if they can alert you, give you an early warning of something coming up in the middle of the night, and you have time to get up, wake up, and prep for whatever's coming, it could be a lifesaver. And we're getting into the end days, and remember one of the end days, the greatest end day period that we really have documented was the flood of Noah. And you know, I think sometimes man takes himself for granted and kind of lets his head swell up. But the flood of Noah, what was it? Was it about Noah? Or was it about all the animals that he saved? Was he I'm sure he was Adamic bloodline, we know that. But God loves all the creatures. And so Noah, you know, there's a lot of prophets and people in the Old Testament, New Testament that helped and saved people, but Noah saved God's creation from himself and his pedigree of his people to all the creatures of that area. And let me say this, just for reference. You know, it would take a pretty big ark to put all the animals, all the creatures in. And that includes, or two of all flesh includes humans. But think about the actual size of something like that, and a vessel that's described in Noah's Ark could no way handle that volume, even 2 of all creatures. And so, you know, you just got to think about all the creatures, and this isn't that long ago, Noah's flood. But think about all the creatures that are here now were there then, minus the ones that have become extinct because of the encroachment of mankind on their habitat. But there's ancient knowledge that what actually happened, as Noah was warned about the flood, and this goes back to the ancient Sumerian text, was that there were people, and they travel by airships, and they collected DNA specimens from not just the area that Noah was in, but from around the entire planet of all the creatures, and preserved those in a DNA bank. Then you could fit them all. Then once the flood was over, then you could, just as with any DNA bank, reproduce it. And again, going ancient Sumerians and going into the Anunnaki teaching or writings, that did happen. There was a group, and they had their whirlwinds that they traveled with, just like in Ezekiel and Elijah. But they went around the planet, and they knew what was coming. God was fed up with what man was doing. Not many men made it, but all of God's creatures made it. But they could have not have all fitted physically into that ark. And so again, let me point this, just something for thought, guys. Was it about Noah, or was it about all of God's beautiful creatures? Think about that. I know it was both, but think about what Noah really did. Preserve that DNA basis. So you can think of it any way you want to, whether you think it was physical animals, and you would have had a lot more than one ship to do that. But either way, what was Noah's purpose? Maybe he loved the animals. God knew he would take care of them. And it goes back to why a lot of people are vegetarians. They don't want to kill God's creatures, And they're probably the most healthy people on the planet. I've been a vegetarian for 46 years, no meat, fish, or eggs. Back when I started into martial arts when I was 19 years old. Pretty healthy, never regretted a day of it, still kicking, 66 years old. But I think it's a respect for all of God's creations. Now, another thing I want to talk about, and guys, sometimes we can't directly talk about the events going on around the world, but if you notice the southern provinces of Canada in the northern part of this map, we know about what the truckers are doing from Ottawa now through all the capitals, and the demons are becoming very upset about that. So a lot of the fuel supplies that were being pulled in, a lot of the food supplies that were being pulled in, they are being confiscated. And I know this is going on in Ottawa. And so you're looking at what's happening is the dark side is realizing that the light side is finally waking up. So they're going to be rushing, and they're going to be raging because they know they have but a short time. So we got to be careful. We see hope in the trucker movement around the planet, but we got to watch the demons. You guys in Canada, God bless you. And we're all watching. The news is being filtered heavily. It's being subdued heavily, but there's ways, and we're watching those too. And so, guys, just as we're watching this very nice weather for a change, maybe we're seeing the beginning of spring. It's beginning of light, longer days with more light, both physically and spiritually. We still have to keep our guard up. We're watching it. You watch it, guys. I'm exhausted right now because of what we're doing, and as you get my age, it can tell on you pretty quickly. But it really, that kind of work with you tractors and fencing and is what keeps you alive. It's what keeps your heart beating. Even though the rest of every muscle in your body aches, you're still alive. But one thing I may do is I've been working on a new song. And I know a lot of people don't watch the music, but before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to try to get that up, guys. But we're watching it. God bless Canada. God bless the world. It's a heads up. Be safe.